Imagine for a moment that your thoughts aren't just private whispers inside your mind, but invisible threads weaving the fabric of your reality. What if every belief, every emotion, every mental image was actually shaping the world around you? Scientifically, not just spiritually, this isn't fantasy. It's the life's work of a Mexican scientist whose research dared to bridge the gap between consciousness and physics. A man who many say uncovered the real mechanism behind manifestation. His name was Jacobo Grinberg, and his story is as mysterious as it is revolutionary. In this video, we're diving deep into the real science of creating reality, not through wishful thinking, but through the hidden structures of the mind and universe. And by the end, you'll understand why what Grinberg discovered might change the way you see everything, including yourself. Before we go there, let me ask you, have you ever noticed patterns repeating in your life? The same struggles, the same relationships, the same emotions, as if life was mirroring something inside you. Jacobo Grinberg believed that wasn't a coincidence. He believed reality itself is a mirror, one that reflects the consciousness observing it. So, who was this man who tried to decode the mystery of existence? Born in Mexico City in 1946, Jacobo Grinberg was a neurophysiologist and psychologist. From a young age, he was obsessed with understanding human perception. After the death of his mother when he was 12, he became deeply curious about the nature of consciousness, the invisible force that links us all. His academic path was solid. He earned degrees in psychology and neuroscience, studying brainwaves and cognitive patterns. But something unusual set him apart from other scientists of his time. He wanted to merge science with spirituality. While others dismissed ancient wisdom as superstition, Grinberg saw it as a missing piece in the scientific puzzle. He studied with shamans, spiritual healers, and indigenous teachers in Mexico. One of his most famous collaborations was with Pachita, a healer who performed so-called psychic surgeries. Grinberg didn't rush to label her as magic or myth. He recorded data, measured EEG activity, and tried to find the neural signature behind what people called miracles. What he found began forming the foundation of his greatest idea, the synergic theory. It suggested that there's an energetic lattice, an invisible field connecting every living being and every piece of matter in the universe. According to him, our brains don't just receive reality, they create it by interacting with this field. In other words, consciousness doesn't live inside the brain. The brain lives inside consciousness. But the deeper Grinberg went, the more mysterious his story became. In 1994, right when he was preparing to share his most important findings, Jacobo Grinberg suddenly disappeared. No trace, no body, no answers. Some say he was silenced because his work challenged the foundations of science. Others believe he reached such a high state of consciousness that he transcended physical reality itself. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain, his research didn't vanish with him. It continues to inspire scientists and seekers around the world who are still trying to decode how thought, intention, and awareness shape the world we live in. In this video, you'll discover how Grinberg's scientific work explains the real mechanics behind manifestation, the hidden bridge between your mind and the physical universe. You'll learn why your consciousness might be the most powerful creative force in existence, and how understanding it can completely transform your reality. So, stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn could forever change the way you see your own mind and the world around you. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity, the channel where science meets spirit and consciousness meets creation. If you're ready to awaken the true potential of your mind, make sure to subscribe, because the journey we're about to take together is only just beginning. Before we talk about the science of manifestation, we need to understand one of Jacobo Grinberg's most powerful and radical ideas, that reality itself is not fixed. It's not something happening to us, but something happening through us. What we see, hear, touch, and experience is not simply out there. It's a construction, a result of the constant interaction between our brain and a vast energetic field that connects everything in existence. Grinberg called this invisible fabric the lattice, an endless network of energy and information that holds the blueprint of all possibilities. Imagine it as a cosmic ocean made of pure consciousness, where every wave is a potential event, object, or thought waiting to take shape. Your brain, according to Grinberg, doesn't just passively receive signals from this field, it actively participates in shaping them. Through perception, emotion, and intention, your mind organizes the raw data of the lattice into the reality you experience. To understand how deep this goes, picture the brain as a projector rather than a camera. Most people believe the brain records reality like a camera capturing what already exists. Grinberg's research flipped that idea upside down. He proposed that the brain projects reality like a light shining through the slides of consciousness, casting the movie of your life onto the screen of the world. What you call reality is actually a shared hologram, shaped by countless interacting consciousnesses, all connected through the lattice. This perspective changes everything. It means that your thoughts, your attention, your beliefs, they're not small, invisible things floating inside your head. They're frequencies within the lattice, vibrations that influence how the field arranges itself around you. Every thought becomes a signal, every feeling a wave pattern that ripples through the energetic web of existence. And because the lattice responds to consciousness, your inner state becomes the blueprint for your outer world. Grinberg's idea wasn't born from mystical intuition alone. He was deeply grounded in neuroscience. He studied how brainwaves synchronize between individuals, how two people, under certain conditions, could display matching electrical patterns, even when separated. He believed this phenomenon was evidence of the lattice in action, a shared field through which consciousness communicates beyond physical limits. To him, the mind wasn't isolated inside the skull. It was a node in a vast, interconnected network of awareness. Think about that for a moment. If every person's consciousness is part of a greater whole, then reality isn't something you experience alone. It's a co-creation. The world you see depends on the structure of your perception, but also on the collective patterns of consciousness shaping the same field. Grinberg's theory suggests that what we call the world is a synchronized agreement between billions of minds interpreting the same underlying energy. Now, why does this matter for manifestation? Because if reality is constructed not absolute, but fluid, then it can be influenced. If your consciousness is participating in the creation of reality, then by changing your inner state, you can shift how reality forms around you. You're not bending external laws or defying logic. You're working with the natural principles of the lattice, aligning your mind to the frequencies that create coherence and possibility. This isn't about forcing outcomes or wishing harder. Grinberg's view is far more profound. It's about understanding that every belief acts as a filter, every emotion as an energetic code. When your brain and the lattice resonate in harmony, when your thoughts, emotions, and awareness line up, the outer world begins to reflect that alignment. The field, as he described it, doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. It simply mirrors the dominant patterns it receives. So when we talk about manifestation, we're really talking about participation, a conscious engagement with the creative field that is always responding. Reality is not a distant stage on which we act. It's a living, responsive system, shaped moment by the frequencies of our mind. And the more aware we become of this interaction, the more power we have to guide it. Jacobo Grinberg's theory invites us to see ourselves not as passive observers, but as active architects in a vast, interconnected universe, one where thought and matter are woven from the same luminous fabric. To understand how manifestation truly works through Jacobo Grinberg's lens, we need to see the simple but powerful mechanism behind reality's construction, the dance between the brain, the field, and experience. Grinberg described this as a three-part process. First, there's the neuronal field of the brain, an electrical pattern constantly changing as you think, feel, and perceive. Second, there's the universal energetic matrix, what he called the lattice, an infinite ocean of consciousness and energy that contains every possible form reality could take. And third, there's the experience of reality itself, what you see, touch, and live every day. Imagine it like this. Your brain is a radio receiver. The lattice is the invisible air filled with all radio waves. Experience is the music that plays when you tune into a specific station. If your brain's frequency changes, the song, your experience of reality changes too. The brain isn't just a biological machine running chemical reactions. It's an instrument designed to interpret and shape information from the lattice. Every neuron in your brain vibrates with electrical potential, sending and receiving signals not only within itself, but into the surrounding field. In Grinberg's view, these neural oscillations interact with the lattice like ripples meeting waves on water. When they synchronize, when your brain's internal patterns match certain patterns in the field, a coherent image of reality emerges in your consciousness. This means that what you perceive as solid and objective, the chair you sit on, the voice you hear, the world you navigate, is not fully external. It's a co-creation, built moment by moment through your brain's interaction with the field. Consciousness in this view isn't produced by the brain. It uses the brain to express itself. Grinberg believed that consciousness is the ultimate architect. The brain acts as its translator, and experience is its artwork. Your consciousness chooses what to focus on, what to believe, what to expect, and the brain encodes those patterns into electrical activity. The field, in turn, responds by organizing reality in alignment with those encoded frequencies. This is how thought becomes matter, how inner intention turns into outer experience. Now this is where manifestation enters the picture. Most people think manifestation is about wishing, visualizing, or repeating affirmations until something happens. But for Grinberg, it's much deeper. Manifestation is the natural outcome of alignment. When your consciousness, brain, and the lattice vibrate in harmony, you're not creating something out of nothing. You're simply selecting a possibility already present in the universal field. The lattice holds infinite versions of every potential reality, every path you could walk, every success or failure, every future timeline. What decides which version you experience? Your state of consciousness. When your thoughts, emotions, and attention become coherent, your neuronal field locks into resonance with a specific frequency in the lattice, and that frequency crystallizes as your lived experience. It's like tuning an old radio. If the dial is off, the signal is full of noise. That's when your life feels chaotic, unclear, or full of resistance. But when you tune precisely, the signal becomes clear, and the reality you experience matches your inner vibration. Manifestation, according to Grinberg, is this act of tuning, aligning your internal frequencies with the universal field of creation. To understand how to do that, let's look at the key principles behind this process. Principle 1. Synchronized brain-field interaction. Grinberg emphasized that the brain's hemispheres, the left, logical side, and the right, intuitive side, must work in harmony. When they synchronize, the brain's electrical patterns become coherent, creating a powerful resonance with the lattice. This synchrony acts like a clear broadcast signal. When your inner state is balanced, logic and intuition, reason and emotion, the field responds with precision. You manifest with greater ease because your energy is not fragmented. Principle 2. Awareness. The observer is part of the system. One of Grinberg's boldest insights was that the observer doesn't just watch reality, the observer creates it. Every act of attention modifies the field. Where your awareness goes, energy flows. If you constantly focus on limitation, fear, or lack, you strengthen those frequencies in the lattice, and your reality mirrors them back. But if your awareness expands, if you cultivate stillness, presence, and clarity, the field reorganizes around those qualities. You become an active participant in creation, not a bystander. Principle 3. Intention-powered clarity. For manifestation to work, intention must be clear and unwavering. The lattice responds to coherence, not confusion. When your thoughts contradict your emotions, when you say, "I want abundance," but feel unworthy or afraid, the signal becomes distorted. But when thought and feeling unite, intention becomes a laser beam. The field translates that signal into experience. Grinberg taught that true intention isn't forced. It's a natural state of inner focus aligned with your deepest truth. Principle 4. Letting go of separation. This might be the most essential of all. The moment you see yourself as separate from the field, manifestation becomes difficult. Why? Because separation creates resistance. It's like trying to command the ocean from the shore. But when you feel yourself as part of the ocean, as an expression of the same consciousness that creates worlds, your influence flows faithless. Grinberg saw this as the highest form of awareness, realizing that the observer and the observed are one. When these principles combine, synchronization, awareness, intention, and unity, manifestation becomes a natural scientific process, rather than a mystical secret. It's not about controlling reality, it's about resonating with it. Now, how can we begin to apply this understanding in everyday life? Grinberg's theory offers simple, practical steps anyone can follow. Step A. Quiet the mind. The first step is silence. When your mind is noisy, filled with endless thoughts and emotions, your neuronal field becomes chaotic. The brain can't synchronize with the lattice. Through meditation, slow breathing, or focused stillness, you reduce that internal noise, creating space for coherence. In that silence, the field becomes more responsive. Step B. Set a clear intention. Once the mind is calm, define what you truly wish to experience. Be precise, but detached. State it clearly without desperation. Think of it as entering coordinates into a navigation system. The lattice will respond to the clarity of your signal. You're not commanding reality, you're communicating with it. Step C. Align emotionally and mentally. After setting the intention, bring your emotions into harmony with it. Feel the outcome as if it already exists. Grinberg would say, this emotional alignment strengthens the resonance between the brain and the field. The combination of thought and emotion forms the energetic signature the lattice uses to shape experience. Step D. Maintain observer awareness. Throughout the process, stay aware. Watch your thoughts, reactions, and beliefs. If doubt or fear arises, don't fight them. Simply observe. Awareness itself has a purifying effect. When you remain conscious of your inner world, you stop feeding conflicting frequencies into the field. Your signal stays clean and focused. Step E. Let go of outcome anxiety. Finally, release the need to control how or when things happen. The field organizes reality in its own elegant way. Grinberg emphasized that the more you try to force results, the more interference you create. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means trusting the process. You've already tuned the frequency. Now allow the lattice to materialize it. When you follow these steps, you begin to experience reality differently. Subtle coincidences appear, opportunities align, inner peace grows. These are signs that your consciousness and the field are starting to move in harmony. Grinberg's perspective brings manifestation out of the realm of superstition and into the domain of inner science. He showed that the power to create isn't about external control, but about internal order. When your brain waves, emotions, and awareness resonate coherently, the universe doesn't need convincing, it simply responds. In everyday language, it means this: your thoughts are instructions, your emotions are energy, and your awareness is the steering wheel. Together they navigate the infinite ocean of possibilities that make up the lattice. Every choice of focus is a shift in frequency, every belief a command to the field. Jacobo Grinberg's work invites us to test this, not to blindly believe it, He wanted us to experience it directly, to notice how inner states subtly transform external events. He didn't ask anyone to abandon reason. He asked us to expand it to include consciousness as a scientific variable, not an afterthought. So, as we understand how the brain interacts with the field, we begin to see manifestation not as magic but as participation, a collaboration between your awareness and the living matrix of reality. The moment you realize this, life stops being a series of random events and starts becoming a reflection of your inner alignment. And from that understanding, the true science of creating reality begins to unfold. When people first hear about Jacobo Grinberg's theory, they often misunderstand what it truly means. His work isn't about wishful thinking or simple positivity. It's not about sitting in a room repeating affirmations and waiting for the universe to reward you. Grinberg's view goes much deeper into the structure of perception itself and how consciousness interacts with the very fabric of existence. One of the biggest misconceptions is believing that manifestation is only about positive thinking. Grinberg would say that positive thoughts on their own are not enough to alter reality. The universe doesn't respond to words or surface-level optimism, it responds to coherence. You can say, "I am abundant" 1,000 times, but if deep inside you still feel scarcity, fear, or unworthiness, your brain's neuronal field remains fragmented. The signals you send into the lattice are mixed and weak. The field mirrors that confusion back to you in the form of unclear results. Grinberg's science suggests that real transformation happens when thought, emotion, and awareness are unified, when the brain's hemispheres synchronize and your internal frequency aligns with clarity. That alignment can't be faked with surface-level positivity. It emerges through genuine self-awareness, emotional honesty, and stillness. Another common mistake is expecting instant results. Many people approach manifestation like a transaction. They set an intention today and expect the world to change tomorrow. But Grinberg's model reveals that the lattice responds not to impatience, but to resonance. The more coherent your inner field becomes, the faster the outer world aligns. But this process unfolds in natural rhythm, not on demand. Reality adjusts gradually as your consciousness stabilizes in a new frequency. Think of it like tuning a musical instrument. You don't strike one note and expect a symphony. You make small adjustments until every string vibrates in harmony. The same applies to consciousness. The brain and the lattice must gradually synchronize before new patterns of reality can manifest. Impatience, doubt, or frustration only introduce noise into the signal. Grinberg encouraged persistence, not blind faith, but disciplined awareness. The results, he said, always match the level of internal coherence, not the speed of desire. There's also a fundamental misconception that reality is static, that the world exists independently of observation. Grinberg's theory directly challenges this idea. He proposed that reality is dynamic and participatory. It's not something we're merely living in, but something we're continuously co-creating. Every act of attention reorganizes the field. Every belief shifts the framework of perception. Reality, in this view, isn't a fixed movie we're watching. It's an improvisational dance between consciousness and energy. That means manifestation isn't about bending a solid external world. It's about participating consciously in an already fluid, living system. The lattice is not waiting for your command, it's already in dialogue with your every thought, emotion, and expectation. The more conscious you are of this dialogue, the more elegantly you can move within it. Grinberg also warned against confusing manifestation with control. This isn't about manipulating others, forcing situations, or trying to dominate external events. Conscious creation isn't a power game, it's an act of harmony. When you try to impose your will aggressively, you're actually working from separation, the very illusion his theory aimed to dissolve. True manifestation arises when you realize there's no other to control. There's only one field, one consciousness, expressing itself through countless forms, including you. Now, even though his ideas sound profound and spiritual, Grinberg approached them as a scientist. He didn't rely solely on philosophy. He conducted experiments to test his hypotheses. He studied the brain's electrical activity during meditative states, telepathic interactions, and healing sessions. One of his most intriguing findings involved what he called interhemispheric correlation, when two people under certain conditions showed synchronized brain patterns even while separated. He believed this synchronization was evidence of communication through the lattice, a field that allowed information to travel non-locally, beyond traditional physics. These experiments hinted that consciousness might not be confined to the brain, but extend into the shared energetic network around us. Grinberg also collaborated with shamans and healers, not to prove superstition but to observe measurable brain changes during their rituals. He recorded shifts in brainwave frequencies that coincided with moments of deep connection or healing, suggesting a possible scientific foundation for phenomena once considered mystical. He documented these studies meticulously, trying to build a bridge between Western neuroscience and ancient spiritual knowledge. However, not everyone accepted his conclusions. Many scientists criticized his work for being too speculative, arguing that his data couldn't conclusively prove the existence of an energetic lattice or non-local consciousness. Some dismissed his studies as pseudoscience, while others found them provocative but incomplete. His mysterious disappearance in 1994 only added to the controversy, leaving his theories suspended between science and mystery. Yet, even critics acknowledged that Grinberg was ahead of his time. Today, with growing research in quantum biology, neuroplasticity, and the observer effect in physics, many of his ideas no longer sound impossible. The notion that consciousness influences reality is being explored by modern neuroscience and quantum studies, often echoing what Grinberg proposed decades earlier. The truth is, the link between consciousness and manifestation is still an open frontier. We don't have all the answers, but Grinberg gave us a framework, a map suggesting that our inner state and outer experience are inseparable. He showed us that the universe may be far more participatory, responsive, and alive than we ever imagined. So why does this matter for you, right now, in your daily life? Because if even part of Grinberg's theory is true, it changes everything about how we live and what we believe possible. It means you are not a spectator of reality. You are a participant in its creation. Your consciousness is not trapped inside your body, it's interacting with everything around you in every moment. When you accept this, you stop feeling powerless. You start to realize that every thought you think, every emotion you feed, every belief you hold is shaping the quality of your world. You become an active co-creator, not a passive observer. The events of your life stop being random and start making sense as reflections of your inner state. This realization brings immense empowerment. Instead of waiting for circumstances to change, you begin working from the inside out. You understand that your focus is your true power. Wherever your attention rests, energy flows and matter follows. When you consciously choose to focus on clarity, gratitude, peace, or purpose, you shift the resonance of your neuronal field. The lattice responds, reorganizing the outer world to match that new vibration. It also changes your sense of responsibility. You can no longer blame life, fate, or luck for everything that happens. You start to see how your perceptions, habits, and reactions have been co-writing the script all along. This doesn't mean guilt or self-blame. It means awakening. You realize you have the tools to rewrite the script, to realign your consciousness, and to participate in creating more harmony around you. And as this awareness deepens, something else begins to open possibility. You no longer see reality as rigid. You begin to sense its flexibility, its living intelligence. You recognize that what seems impossible might simply be unexplored. New choices appear. Synchronicities multiply. Life becomes less about survival and more about participation, about consciously shaping the field through presence, love, and intention. Jacobo Grinberg's work, when seen through this lens, isn't just a theory about the mind. It's an invitation to wake up to your role in the cosmic process of creation. It reminds you that you are woven into the same fabric as stars, thoughts, and dreams. The lattice is not somewhere out there, it's pulsing through you, waiting for your awareness to shape it. And once you begin to sense that, once you truly feel that every moment is a dialogue between your consciousness and the universe, manifestation stops being a mystery. It becomes a natural language, one that you are always meant to speak. Grinberg's theory reminds us that manifestation isn't about simply wishing and believing, it's about aligning your consciousness with the living field of reality itself. When your mind grows quiet and your intention becomes clear, you begin to interact directly with the fabric of creation. So this week, experiment with one small step. Spend a few minutes each day in silence, focusing on a single clear intention. Observe how your world begins to respond. And now, ask yourself, what reality will you choose to create? If this message resonated with you like this video, subscribe to Awaken Synchronicity and join us as we continue exploring the hidden science of consciousness and creation.